My brother grabbed my daughter's present and scoffed, calling it cheap trash and junk, and then he threw it right at her face at his own birthday party. Our parents just smirked. I didn't argue. I'm Nadia Crane, a 38-year-old single mom working as a remote software engineer, making $115,000 a year. For 8 years, I had been paying my parents rent and had loaned my brother $70,000 to start his pottery shop in Barrio Viejo, Tucson, using his 2019 BMW as collateral. I finally pulled the plug, repossessed the BMW, and told him, "From today on, you're on your own." He didn't think I was serious until everything was gone. Grab some popcorn and hit that subscribe button if your family has ever used you as their personal ATM, because what happened next was a complete disaster. 6 years earlier, Gage came into my house with a colorful, glossy plan. He was 27, fresh off yet another dead-end job, and his eyes were sparkling like he had struck gold. The pages showed drawings of handmade mugs, custom planters, and a storefront in Barrio Viejo, a prime tourist location in Tucson. He started throwing numbers around. Startup costs of $70,000, break-even point in 18 months, profit margin of 30%. I was sitting at the kitchen table while Kendall was coloring in the living room, and he slid the folder across the table like it was a winning lottery ticket. He'd been crashing on couches for months after his last job at a warehouse didn't work out. Every week he had some new business idea, whether it was a food truck or a vape shop, and now it was pottery. I had heard it all before, but this time he brought spreadsheets and actual projections. He said that his 2019 BMW parked outside could secure the loan if I co-signed. I hesitated. My divorce had been finalized 2 years earlier, and my finances were finally stable, since remote coding paid $115,000 a year. No office drama, no rush to daycare. But Gage kept insisting that family helps family. We met Lane Foster downtown the following week. Lane clearly laid out the terms: 5.5% interest, $1, 400 monthly payments, principal due in 5 years, with full title to the BMW as collateral. Gage quickly signed his name, the pen scratching loudly in the quiet office. I added my name below, my heart pounding, but my hands steady. The dealership transferred the car title to his name that same afternoon. He drove off, waving and blasting music from the radio. The first 6 months went smoothly. Payments were automatically transferred to my account on the first of each month. No need to follow up. He sent me photos of shelves filled with glazed bowls, tourists taking pictures, and a chalkboard menu advertising the Desert Bloom collection. The shop's Instagram account gained 2,000 followers. He posted stories of firing kilns late at night, clay under his fingernails, and grinning like a little kid. I forwarded the receipts to Lane, who nodded approvingly during our quarterly check-ins. Then the texts became less frequent. 1 month turned into 2, and I didn't receive a payment. I called him, and he blamed supply chain issues, saying that clay prices had doubled. Another month passed with no payment. I drove to Barrio Viejo without telling him. The front door was locked. It was the middle of the afternoon, but the lights were off, and there was dust on the display bowls. Gage answered his phone from a bar patio, his voice slurring from the beer. "Take it easy, sis," he said. "Give it some time." I reminded him about the BMW. He just laughed it off. Meanwhile, rent for mom and dad kept being automatically deducted from my checking account, $1, $300, every month like clockwork. Clyde's diabetes medication was eating up half of their Social Security benefits, and Marlene was still ringing up groceries part-time at the Southside Fries. Their fridge was always full, the AC was always running, and the Wi-Fi never went down. I kept telling myself it was temporary. Gage would catch up. Casey caught me at the virtual water cooler one Thursday. We had been pair programming since the pandemic, 2 single moms trading memes between sprints. She saw the transfer alerts on my shared screen. "You're bankrolling the whole crew," she said bluntly. "That pottery dream is a money pit." I brushed her off, saying that Gage was family, and that blood doesn't default. She just raised an eyebrow and muted her microphone. I kept the automatic payments running. Kendall asked why Uncle Gage never came to visit anymore. I told her that he was busy building something big. She nodded and went back to drawing desert flowers on scrap wood. The kiln in Barrio Viejo remained cold. I booked a table at El Charro, but Gage said he was busy. That afternoon, I saw photos of his private birthday party at Mom and Dad's house on Facebook. Kendall saw the same post and wouldn't let it go. She was clutching a wooden box that she had been carving after school for 4 solid months. Gage's name was in bold letters, with desert cacti etched along the edges, and the lid was hinged with tiny brass screws that she had saved her allowance to buy. "Uncle Gage has to see it in person," she insisted, her eyes wide. I sighed, grabbed the keys, and we drove the 20 minutes to South Tucson. Their street looked the same as always, with cracked sidewalks, chain-link fences, and Mom's plastic flamingos faded pink. Cars were crammed in the driveway, and there were cousins I hadn't seen in years, along with neighbors from the old block. Gage had strung chili lights across the carport, and there were folding tables loaded with tamales and Corona beer. Music was blasting from a Bluetooth speaker. Kendall hopped out before I could even park, clutching the box under her arm like it was treasure. We walked through the side gate. Gage was standing center stage in a new linen shirt, beer in hand, laughing with a group of buddies. Kendall marched right up to him. "Happy 33rd, Uncle Gage," she said, holding the box up high. He glanced down, a smirk forming on his face. "What's this?" He flipped open the lid, peeked inside at the empty velvet lining that was meant for his watch collection, and then he snorted. "Handmade junk, worthless." Before anyone could react, he hurled the box right into Kendall's face. The wood cracked against her cheek, and the brass hinge scraped her skin. She stumbled back, the box clattering to the concrete. The whole yard went silent. Clyde looked up from his lawn chair, his insulin pump clipped to his belt, and just chuckled under his breath. Marlene, wiping salsa from her fingers, shook her head. Kids these days, always with the crafts. A cousin pulled out her phone and started filming. Within seconds, the family group chat was blowing up with laughing emojis. "Real family right here. Sis and niece not invited. Classic." Kendall's lip was trembling, with a thin line of blood where the hinge had cut her. I knelt down and picked up the splintered lid, seeing her 4 months of late nights flashing across the broken wood grain. Gage turned back to his friends like nothing had happened. I stood up, already holding my phone in my hand, and quickly snapped a photo of the BMW parked crooked on the lawn, with his name on the title, My Collateral. Then I took a picture of the latest rent statement on my banking app, $1, $300 due in 3 days. I typed one line into the group chat and attached both images. "You're on your own. Everything stops." Phones started buzzing all around the tables. Gage's head snapped toward me. "You're joking." I didn't answer. Kendall grabbed my sleeve, and we walked out past the chili lights. The gate clanged shut behind us. In the car, she pressed a tissue to her cheek. Silent. I started the engine, the tires crunching on the gravel. Gage's shouts faded as we pulled onto the main road. Back home, I blocked the group chat. Kendall took a shower and came out with a butterfly bandage from the first aid kit. She set the broken box on her desk, stared at it for a long time, and then opened her laptop and started a new design, something sharper. No cacti. I logged into the bank and hovered over the automatic payment for Mom and Dad's rent. My finger paused, and then I clicked Disable. A confirmation message popped up. Scheduled payment canceled. That night, Gage left 4 voicemails. The first one was angry, and then they turned to pleading. I deleted each one without listening to them. Kendall fell asleep with her desk lamp on, wood shavings still in her hair. I sat on the couch, stared at the dark screen, and felt the first real quiet I'd had in 8 years. The next morning, Lane Foster emailed me the official demand letter. The subject line was, "Notice of Default, Gage Brooks Loan," and there was an attached PDF stamped in red. The 30-day cure period was already halfway over. I forwarded it to the repo company that Lane kept on retainer, the same company that handled foreclosures for half the lenders in Pima County. They confirmed pickup for 10 a.m. sharp, no extensions. I made some coffee and watched Kendall tape the splintered box back together with wood glue. She didn't say anything, just sanded the rough edge where the hinge had torn. At 9:45, my phone buzzed with a live feed link from the repo driver. I clicked on it. It showed the Barrio Viejo sidewalk with the pottery sign swinging in the breeze. Gage was pacing out front in yesterday's shirt, yelling into his cell phone. The flatbed truck pulled up. 2 guys in high-visibility vests hopped out. Gage lunged for the driver's door, but the repo man sidestepped him and hooked up the BMW in under 3 minutes. Chains clinked, the engine revved, and the car was lifted up like a toy. Tourists stopped and took out their phones. Gage chased the truck halfway down the block before it turned the corner. The auction was posted online that afternoon, with a starting bid of $25,000 and no reserve. Bids trickled in from Phoenix dealers and a collector in Sedona. The final hammer price was $35,000, which was wired to Lane's trust account by the close of business. The deficiency balance was $45,000, now unsecured. Lane filed the judgment, a lien against Gage's future wages, standard procedure. I opened my banking app and scrolled to the recurring transfers. Mom and Dad's rent, $0 due in 48 hours. Electric, water, and internet, another $400 combined. I hovered over each one, my thumb steady, and then toggled them off. Confirmation banners flashed green. Cancelled. It was the first time in 8 years that the chain had been broken. Gage started calling at noon. The first ring went straight to voicemail. His voice was cracking, with the background noise of the empty shop. "Sis, we can talk this out." Deleted. The second call was angrier. "You're tanking everything I built." Deleted. By evening, there were 7 more calls, pleading, bargaining, and threats about telling Kendall that I was heartless. I let the inbox fill up, and my battery died overnight. 2 days later, the landlord posted a 3-day pay or quit notice on the pottery shop door. Gage scraped together partial rent from his credit cards, which bought him a week. Customers dwindled. Word spread on Yelp about the drama with the repo. The shelves were half empty, and the kiln had been cold since the power was cut off for non-payment. Gage tried to do pop-up sales at the weekend market, but the wheels of clay were cracking in the sun. The landlord changed the locks exactly 14 days after the notice was posted. Gage showed up with a duffel bag, found the chain, kicked the door once, and then walked away. I printed the auction receipt and slipped it into an envelope with the deficiency notice and mailed it, certified, to Mom and Dad's address. No note, just the facts. Kendall asked if Grandma and Grandpa would be okay. I said they had options. She nodded and went back to carving a new piece, with harder lines this time. Lane called. It was the end of the week. The judgment had been recorded, and the garnishment would be ready when he started earning again. I thanked him and hung up. Gage's last voicemail was timestamped 2 a.m. He was sobbing, promising to pay double if I restarted the rent payments. I cleared the queue and blocked the number. The house stayed quiet. No more automatic drafts pulling money out at dawn. 3 weeks later, there was pounding on the door at 1 a.m. Kendall bolted upright in bed, her eyes wide, and then scrambled into her closet, curling up with her knees to her chest among the hanging clothes. I slipped out of my room, pressed against the hallway wall, my heart slamming as each knock landed like a hammer on wood. The Ring app was glowing on my phone, showing a live feed from the front porch. Gage was swaying under the light, his shirt untucked and a bottle dangling from one hand. He slammed the door again. "You ruined my life!" His voice slurred through the door, echoing down the quiet street. Kendall whimpered from the closet. I whispered through the crack in the door, "Stay put. Lock the bedroom door." She nodded, her face pale in the dark. Another bang, a fist this time, rattled the frame. Gage kicked the baseboard. "Open up, you witch!" The camera captured every stagger, every curse, with the timestamp rolling. I dialed 911, my voice low. Intruder at my address, pounding on the door, intoxicated. The operator asked if we were safe inside. Yes. Locked. Camera recording. She dispatched units, ETA 4 minutes. Sirens approached fast. Gage heard them and tried the knob one last time. 2 patrol cars pulled up, lights flashing red and blue across the lawn. Officers ordered him to back away, his hands visible. He resisted, his arms flailing, until the cuffs clicked shut. They loaded him into the back seat, and his bottle was confiscated. One cop knocked gently on the door. "Ma'am, are you okay?" I opened the door a crack and showed my ID. He reviewed the ring footage on his tablet and nodded. "We'll book him for disorderly conduct. File the restraining order tomorrow." The court clerk processed the restraining order by noon. 200 yards. No contact. Effective immediately. Gage signed under duress at the station, his eyes bloodshot. The first violation came 2 nights later. Unknown number. Voicemail. Heavy breathing. Then a hang-up. It was traced to a burner phone at a gas station. The police issued a citation. $500 fine. 90 days suspended if there was no repeat. I ordered smart locks online. August brand, app controlled. Arrived the next day. I installed them myself, drilling into the frame while Kendall held the level. Deadbolt worked smoothly, with a chime confirming the lock. She tested the code 3 times, her finger steady now. That night, she left her desk lamp on, the bulb casting a soft glow under the door, The pattern continued for a full month. The light on until dawn, the closet door cracked open just in case. Gage's mugshot circulated on the neighborhood watch app. Delivery drivers recognized him and refused packages to Mom and Dad's old address. Kendall started therapy sessions through the school counselor, who noted anxiety spikes around loud knocks. I attended parent night and learned breathing techniques to teach her. The ring alerts stayed armed, with the motion zones tight on the porch. One evening, an unknown car idled across the street. Engine off. Driver in silhouette. I snapped a photo and sent it to the police non-emergency line. It turned out that Gage was borrowing a friend's ride. The violation was flagged, and another fine was issued. The judge warned him that the next breach would mean jail. He stopped showing up after that. Kendall's lamp finally clicked off on day 31. She emerged for breakfast, her hair tousled, and smiled faintly. "I think we're good." I poured her cereal and nodded. The house settled into a new rhythm. No midnight pounding, no unknown calls. The smart lock beeped friendly each time someone entered. Mom and Dad started showing up at the company gate during rush hour. Clyde balanced on his cane, the rubber tip squeaking on the sun-baked pavement. Marlene clutched a flattened cardboard sign, inked in bold marker. "Ungrateful daughter." 4:45 p.m. Engineers in hoodies and Nikes poured out of the building, some pausing to read the sign, others lifting their phones to take pictures. A white Tesla slowed at the curb, the driver gawking. The security booth radio crackled. I watched the lobby monitor from the third-floor open office. HR was already on Slack, discussing the gate incident. Escort eyes sent the external camera feed. 2 guards in navy polos stepped out, earpieces in and badges flashing. "Sir, ma'am, this is private property. Please move to the public sidewalk." Clyde straightened up, his voice rough from decades of unfiltered cigarettes. "She's my kid. This is a family matter." Marlene shoved the sign higher, nearly hitting a passing e-scooter. The guards flanked them, palms open, guiding them without contact, just presence. They reached the property line. A verbal trespass warning was delivered. "Returning will equal criminal trespass," Clyde grumbled about lawyers. Marlene folded the sign and tucked it under her arm. They shuffled to their rattling 2005 Corolla, parked across the street, the engine coughing alive. I forwarded the clip to HR that evening. The legal counsel drafted a cease and desist letter on company letterhead, which was emailed and certified to the South Tucson address. Rent was still current. Then tracking confirmed that Marlene had signed for it 2 days later. Subject: cease all workplace contact immediately. HR filed a copy in my record and flagged it for escalation. 1 month later, the landlord taped the 3-day pay or quit notice in red on the front door. The automatic payments had stopped weeks earlier. The first cycle was missed, and the second triggered the default. The balance was $2, $600 plus penalties. Clyde left a voicemail at reception. "Tell Nadia that her father's insulin costs money." It was forwarded to HR and added to the file. I stayed silent. The 30-day eviction clock began with the court filing. The sheriff's deputy posted the yellow final notice, with bold print stating that the lockout was imminent. Moving day arrived cloudless. A U-Haul idled in the cracked driveway, with an orange cord snaking to the garage for the final boxes. Neighbors watched from behind their blinds. Marlene packed faded photo albums into plastic tubs labeled in Sharpie. Clyde directed from a nylon chair on the porch, his portable oxygen humming. By noon, the house stood empty, the keys on the counter and the blinds half drawn. New tenants, a couple with a toddler and a lab, signed the lease that afternoon. The landlord swapped the locks and forwarded the mail to general delivery. They checked into Motel 6 off of I-10, room 8, ground floor, by the ice machine. $900 cash up front for 30 nights, no credit card. Neon vacancy signs flickered through the thin curtains. Marlene posted publicly on Facebook, "Daughter evicted her parents. Pray." She tagged my work profile. I took a screenshot and archived it in HR. Clyde's glucose spiked on vending machine pastries. An urgent care bill hit $1.200, mailed collect to the motel. Gage activated Uber Eats on a cracked iPhone 8. He borrowed a dented 2008 Civic from a casino night buddy. Suction phone mount on the dash, red delivery bag in the back. Orders were sparse, downtown salads and late-night tacos. Tips averaged $3. Gas cost $40 daily. Net break even. He reclined the seat in Walmart parking lots, using a dollar store blanket and setting an alarm for 4 a.m. runs. The LA fitness trial lapsed when his card was declined. Security logged a second gate visit 3 weeks after the first. Marlene was solo, with a smaller sign on printer paper. Help your parents. She arrived at 4:30 p.m., just inside the property line. Guards intercepted her before the exit rush. HR issued a final trespass order, copied to the Tucson PD. A campus ban was effective, and her photo was circulated to the posts. Clyde tried my work email from the library. It bounced. Subject logged. You'll regret it. The motel manager knocked on day 24, extension due by noon. Funds were short after the ER copay. They loaded the tubs into the Corolla, the trunk roped shut. They joined Gage at Walmart overnight. 3 cars, 3 people, windows cracked, fogging by dawn. Gage ran for breakfast burritos and returned with hash browns and senior coffee. Marlene scanned Indeed on her cracked Android, but there were no cashier callbacks. I blocked all forwarding addresses and set up a P.O. box. Kendall asked once about her grandparents over cereal. I said actions have outcomes. She nodded and sanded a new puzzle box, with sliding panels and no nails. The security feed stayed clean after the ban. No more signs. 1 year later, a handwritten letter arrived from Gage. The envelope was postmarked Tucson, with no return address. My name was scrawled in shaky blue ink. Inside, there were 3 pages torn from a yellow legal pad, creased and coffee-stained. Sis, I was wrong. I see it now. The shop, the car, the rent, everything. I took you for granted. Dad's diabetes got worse in the motel. Doctors say amputation below the knee if we don't pay for the specialist. Please forgive me. One last chance. I read it at the kitchen island, the morning light slanting through the new blinds. Kendall was pouring cereal across from me, now 16, her hair longer, her voice steadier. She glanced at the pages. Uncle Gage? I nodded. She pushed her bowl away and waited. I folded the letter once, placed it back in the envelope, and slid it into the trash under yesterday's coffee grounds. That afternoon, I drafted a single postcard. Plain white, no picture. We are no longer family. Mailed from the corner mailbox. No signature, postmark only, no contract proposed, no money offered, no phone number included. Gage never replied. The letter went one way. We had moved 3 months earlier. A quiet subdivision north of the city, with adobe walls and citrus trees in the yard. A new build. 2 stories. Kendall's room overlooked the Catalina foothills. I changed every number. Sells work extensions, even the vet for the cat we adopted. The forwarding service expired after 90 days. Old emails bounced. Social media profiles were scrubbed. Private connections severed. Kendall thrived in the new space. She had a woodworking bench in the garage and power tools from her birthday savings. She built a cedar jewelry box for her best friend, with dovetail joints and a hidden compartment. She entered it in the county fair and took second place. A trophy on the mantle. A blue ribbon fluttering. Therapy ended after 6 sessions. The counselor signed off. Resilient, boundaries solid. I advanced at the company, becoming a senior engineer with flexible hours and vested stock options. Casey and I co-hosted virtual game nights, with kids in the background building Legos. No more HR flags, no gate photos. Security feeds were archived blank. Rumors filtered through distant cousins. Gage was still delivering in the Civic on its last legs. The parents rotated between weekly motels. Food stamps were approved. Clyde's foot was saved by a charity clinic. Partial toe removal, he now used a walker. Marlene was a cashier at a dollar store, her name tag crooked. No contact was attempted after the postcard. Kendall asked once during a hike up Sabino Canyon, "Do you miss them?" She had a water bottle in her hand and trail dust on her sneakers. I thought of the splintered box, the pounding door, the cardboard signs. I miss who I thought they were. She nodded, adjusted her backpack, and kept walking. The sun dipped behind the mountain, the sky orange and calm. Family isn't an ATM. Blood doesn't entitle endless withdrawals. When you stop giving, the masks fall. You see who stayed for love and who stayed for convenience. We built a smaller circle. Tighter. Real. Kendall's laugh echoed in the new house, the tools humming in the garage. Peace wasn't dramatic. It was quiet mornings. No automatic drafts, no midnight knocks. The lesson stuck. Protect your peace like code. Test your boundaries, commit changes, deploy without regret.